It's time to put your health in your own hands. Get ready to learn from today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, AILEEN. AILEEN has had a successful professional career for a leading business process services company in the corporate legal department. Her life has been characterized by a keen interest in spirituality and an in-depth study of alternative medicine. In 2011, AILEEN's life transformed when she met Guruji Mahendra Kumar Trivedi, founder of the Trivedi Effect and Trivedi Global Incorporated. It was a turning point for AILEEN, and she became a member of the Trivedi Healers Mastery Program. With Guruji Trivedi's guidance, she discovered and developed her innate energy healing abilities. Through her association with Guruji Trivedi, she has been given the unprecedented opportunity to test and validate her Biofield energy healing capabilities in the area of science. Her evidence-based impact on overall health, well-being, and quality of life has now been published in several peer-reviewed scientific journals. Welcome, AILEEN.
Thank you for having me, Tammy.
This is very interesting. So you've worked with Guruji Trivedi of the Trivedi Effect, and you've actually had your own ability validated by science as it relates to these energy transmissions. Before we get started and focused in on our topic today, which is anxiety, can you tell me a little bit more about what exactly the Trivedi Effect is and how it works?
The Trivedi effect is a phenomenon that was started by Mahendra Kumar Trivedi, and he started this effect with his ability to be able to send blessings to people and connect them to the God of their understanding.
So when you say the blessings, that's basically how you describe these energy transmissions, blessings or energy transmissions. So in that, Mr. Trivedi and now you act as a conduit of this energy down to the people. And then can you talk a little bit more about what this energy actually is?
This energy is energy that helps you to connect, basically connects you to the divine and the divine within you. And it allows you to, when you connect to this energy during time in a meditative type state, you connect to the God of your understanding, and once you connect to the God of your understanding, you are able to send it out to the person who would like to be receiving this energy. It is. I've also referred to it as life force energy healing.
Life force energy healing. So again, it's basically getting connected to the creator or the God of your understanding, and then this energy works with your spiritual side of you and helps you in what types of ways? What are the benefits?
There are so many benefits that come from being connected to the God of your understanding. Your awareness, your basic awareness becomes heightened. You're more aware of things happening around you. For instance, when you're driving to work, like when I'm driving to work, I'm much more aware. Instead of having tunnel vision, staying in the lane that I'm in, I'm aware. My vision is aware of what's going on in other lanes and even in front of me and expanding, just not looking at the freeway, but what's going on maybe on the side on the side of the roads and on the other side of the traffic that's coming down, and you're much able to anticipate what's going to happen.
Wow. So that's just a couple of the benefits of this. And all of this has been scientifically documented and proven through thousands upon thousands of research. The other day, I heard it was the number had increased to more than 6,000 scientific experiments that had been done related to this phenomenon, the Trivedi effect. And I know, of course, you participated in several experiments personally. What were the experiments that you worked on or that you were involved in that actually validated your abilities?
The first experiment we did as a group, and I believe there were 18 participants in it. And we were from the United States, Canada, Finland, maybe Europe. I'm not really sure, recall where all of the participants were. So what they had were I believe we blessed mice, and I believe we may have, I'm not really quite sure of it, we blessed I think maybe cell medium, I'm not real sure. And all of us bless we bless different, then to get more clearly, we blessed different nutraceuticals, zinc, selenium, ashwagandha, and another mineral. And we also blessed rats. So they use this to feed these rats, and I believe over a period of time. And then they did a check of how the ashwagandha, zinc, selenium, and magnesium helped them, how it helped. And they did a blessed product versus a controlled product.
Okay, so basically all of the science that's been done, it's all been in scientifically controlled environments, and they're basically doing a control and then having the people involved in the blessings, and then they can do the comparison so that they can determine if there was a significant difference in what happened. And I know from the science, and you have it on your website, that there's been some quite significant increases in different impacts for overall health and well-being. So I highly suggest that anyone who's really interested in the science, that they go check all that science out, either at your website, AILEEN, or at the TrivediEffect.com website, because there literally are thousands of scientific research papers on all different types of things that you can check out. So let's get into our topic today, which is anxiety. What's going on in the world? I mean, all of us get anxious. I know that. But some of us, it's obviously becomes quite a problem. What is the overall overview of anxiety in the world today? Can you address that?
One of the things that in my research that I was reading about anxiety, they really don't know, there's no, what I read, a definitive definition of what anxiety is. And they believe it stems from traumatic issues or traumatic, how can I say, traumatic incidences that you have had in your life
Okay.
that can turn on this. And everybody has anxiety, whether you're thinking about a situation at work, what's going on at work, or if you're driving, down the freeway and somebody cuts in front of you, that can cause anxiety too. I mean, I've had that done to me. I know that it can irritate me, but it goes away after a very short period of time.
But for some people, obviously, the anxiety becomes overwhelming and debilitating, because I know for a fact that I see anxiety every day in one of my children, and I can see that, there's this, it becomes like a fear of doing something or forgetting something or making a mistake. So I think anxiety can probably rear its head in many ways. It can be, that simple, the fear issues about being afraid of things, all the way to maybe more OCD type things where you're compulsive about, being anxious about something and worrying about whether or not, it's like if you've ever left the house and it's like, oh my goodness, did I turn off the coffee pot? But for people who are anxious, that might be, they go check it, and even though it's okay, they leave again and they worry about it. They still worried about it, even though they've checked it, and it's okay. Have you ever experienced any type of anxiety yourself?
I experienced anxiety when I was let go of a job in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, it was a very stressful job. I worked at a law firm. It was, like I say again, it was it was very stressful. I spent a lot of hours. I probably went into burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So when I let my job was terminated, I felt a huge sense of relief. And I did more spiritual study. I went down with a group to John of God. I studied Reiki and got my first and second degree Reiki certificates. And at about that time, that was when, in 2008, that was when there was a downturn in the U.S. economy, and that going on for a couple of years. A lot of people being out of work were applying for jobs, and you didn't know whether you would be able to be picked up for a job. So what I ended up doing during those years was I worked for a temporary job, I did seasonal jobs, and finally in about 2011, I was picked up. I worked a temporary job for the company that I work in now, where I work for now, and was eventually picked up permanently in 2011. And that created a lot of anxiety, not knowing with the economic situation in the United States and people being out of jobs and you competing for jobs created anxiety.
I believe me, I've been in this situation, and it made me remember back in the 90s, probably the late 90s, when I got my first Social Security announcement telling me that how much money I would get when I retired, and it was like $900 a month, and it was like, oh my God! And when I saw that, that's when I went back to school and got a master's degree, because I figured, well, I'd never be able to retire if I didn't have a savings. And if $900 was all I would ever get for Social Security, I figured if I was a teacher, at least I could be 90 years old and I could still teach. And so that's actually what I did. I went and I got a master's so that I could teach mass communications. And, even to this day, because now I'm self-employed, so I'm not even worried about Social Security anymore. But that brought on high anxiety about my future. And I think anxiety is related a lot to the fear of the future and how are we going to be taken care of. And I can understand, like for you, if back in 2007, 2008, and that was during the big economic crash.
Yes.
And that, I imagine, was really scary because it didn't matter how qualified you were, you might not ever get a job again because we really did not know what the future held, and everybody was losing their homes and everything. So you went and you went and saw, you were on a big seeking mission, from what it sounds like, because you said you went to see John of God and you learned about Reiki and became what, a Reiki master one and two, right?
Yeah. You have level 1 and you have level 2, and you
Okay.
learn various things. And then the next step after that is becoming a master. I did not go that route.
So in all of this, obviously you were seeking a spirit. You were in my estimation, it sounds like you were trying to find an answer to help you to heal from all that anxiety of the unknown. And how did you end up meeting Mahendra Trivedi? Because you met him in 2011?
Yes, I did meet him in 2011.
So what led you to meet him? And here we are in 2018, almost 2019, and you're still working with him. So something must have clicked. What can you tell me a little bit about how that came to be?
What happened was I either had an epiphany or I had a divine message that said, you need, after going through all the spiritual groups, seeing John of God, studying Reiki, and having a friend of mine who channeled Kuan Yin down in the Monterey, California area, they were fine. Those spiritual practices were fine for a while. And then finally I got that message, you need to raise your consciousness. And this was maybe in early 2011. And then shortly after, there was a lady in Monterey who was doing a radio show who had Mahendra Trivedi and Fred Poneman. And I listened to the broadcast, and the work that Mahendra Trivedi, with the science, marrying science and spirituality, really, really intrigued me. And we just spoke the truth. And he was authentic, he was truthful, and you knew from listening to his voice that he really knew what he was talking about. And that just really resonated with me.
So what is so different about the Trivedi effect and Reiki and John of God?
With Reiki and John of God, there are practices that you do, and there's a lot of dogma. The one thing about Guruji's practices, he has no dogma, and there's no dogma, and there's no specific practice that you have to do, or that you have to have. That's what I really liked about him, and also the fact that the science experiments really, really intrigued me. And that I'm going, because not many of people who say they're spiritual do not have the hardcore scientific research that they've done and published like Guruji has.
So basically, with John of God, there's some ritual things that you need to do, and then Reiki. I don't know a lot about Reiki other than I know they do some symbols.
Yes, we learn the symbols.
And then with John of God, I guess most people have told me they have to wear white and other things. So how do you prepare for a Trivedi effect energy transmission?
When I prepare for giving it or receiving it, or which way do you want to go, Tammy?
Well, do you have to do any special prep to receive it?
No, you don't. You don't have to do any special prep, but it's very important for you to be by yourself in a place where you can relax. I prefer, you can sit up, you can lie down. For me, if there's an extended energy transmissions, like 40 minutes, it's really ideal to lie down and just relax and just receive the energy and from Guruji.
So all you really need to do is try to be alone and lie down if possible, or just sit there and be.
What about the energy?
What about, do you have to be there in person or long distance, or when's the best time to get this type of energy?
You can get the energy at any time. You don't have to necessarily be present directly, like in front of Guruji. We have learned a technique, or we have learned through sending blessings, that you can send it to where the person is. They don't have to know about it. They can a lot of times they are sent during the night when a person is sleeping, and that's when you're very receptive to receiving the energy.
So basically, you don't have to be in person. You can receive it while you're sleeping. And how does it work? A lot of people have asked me about Trivedi effect, and it's like, okay, well, so what exactly is it? How does it work? And my understanding is that when you connect, or are connected to the energy, that you're connecting to the God of your understanding, and that it's an intelligent energy. So if you think about God, omnipresent and all-knowing, that it knows exactly what you need. Am I perceiving that correctly?
That's an excellent way. You've got the perception down perfectly. The intelligent energy, when you are receiving an energy transmission, knows intuitively or inherently what you need for your well-being and to make you happy. And sometimes you may ask for something in a blessing, and you will receive so much more than you asked for.
Because I think I understand. So in other words, like, for example, I'm sitting here going, dear God, please help me with, get an A on the test. But maybe it isn't an A on the test I really need. It's that I need to think more clearly and be more focused so that I can improve the way I think, and maybe I'll get an A on the test because of it. kind of more along those lines than specific things? Like how, because we're so ego driven and reward driven that sometimes we ask for things that we probably really don't really want if we
Or
would
need.
think about it.
Or need.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because it isn't an energy transmission. It doesn't equate to like a prayer in the sense of, dear God, you know how some people will say, you know, please send me enough money to pay the bills, for example, or maybe they're sick and maybe they need healing, but maybe that isn't necessarily what happens. You know, because if this is an intelligent energy, then again, like you said, sometimes good things happen that you might not even recognize, you know, happening around you. I understand that also with the Trivedi effect, there's something called the ripple effect, where it actually affects other people or animals or things or around the actual recipient of the Trivedi effect energy. Can you tell me more about what this ripple effect is and maybe give me some examples?
The ripple effect of the Trivedi effect is when the energy affects your family, friends, and loved ones. And that comes when, let's say, and this is an example of someone I knew that was part of the Trivedi effect family, that her son had been looking for a job, and he he could not find a job. And when she started receiving energy transmissions from the Trivedi effect, he found a job. That can happen with your relatives. Let's say somebody is hoping for a promotion and it hasn't happened, and somehow they're connected to you, whether they're a son, daughter, spouse, or loved one, or a really close friend, and they connect with you and they know about the fact that you're receiving these energies transmissions, that something really positive or something that they would wanted or needed in their life comes to them finally, that they've been wanting to happen for a while. It can happen with money. Let's say you're wanting to have money, and all of a sudden, I've heard of people, after they've received a blessing with the Trivedi effect, they receive some cash, unexpected cash that they weren't expecting, maybe in the form of a check of an inheritance, or somebody somehow they get a check from someone, or someone that they totally did not expect. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an inheritance, or maybe another source of income that they didn't realize they had.
Yeah, that's happened to me before. 1 year, it was I think it was last year. It was in December, and all of a sudden, I get this check from my mortgage company for quite a large sum, and it was a refund. I had overpaid my escrows by a lot. Don't ask me how they had overcharged me, but it was a lot. And over that month, I actually got from the bank, they refunded me like 3 different times overpaid escrow amounts. That added up to be close to $5,000 after all was said and done. And that was a really good example of unexpected money coming to me. Obviously, it was a refund, but think about it. It was in December. right around the time when, you need money, for Christmas, and a lot of people, need money at the end of the year. And so that's a really good example, I think, of unexpected money showing up. And then for me, the ripple effect has shown up in my life with my children, where they just started to act more mature and make their own decisions, which took a lot of pressure off of me. And everything that we've been talking about, if you actually think about it, all takes us back to anxiety or lack of anxiety, and how the Trivedi effect can kind of improve your life, just in terms of that overall well-being and that feeling of confidence that you get. And I don't know about you, but I have a sense of I feel more protected, and I don't freak out over things, that the struggles or the things that might happen in my life, that normally would trigger that high anxiety. Do you find that to be true for you?
Yes, I've found that since I've been receiving the energy transmissions, I've become a much calmer person. I've become a person who doesn't get as nervous. I used to be, because of the stress and the anxiety that I had when I was working. I have become there was a lot of anxiety and stress and nervousness and the fear of the future and what's going to happen, with the downturn and looking for a job, that a lot of that, I calmed down. Things started occurring in my life. I got a job. I became a happier person, and I basically felt everything was going to be okay.
Wow.
I saw people around me. I also noticed people around me, friends and relatives, started recognizing me more.
When you say that, what does that mean, that friends and relatives started recognizing you more? What does that mean?
How can I say? I was really quiet before, with the issues, probably the issues I was having and going on with my life. And then probably because I became more outgoing, I became more confident, more aware of what was going on around me.
Wow.
And maybe projecting, and within me becoming more confident, projecting that
Mm-hmm.
in a good, positive way.
So
And
you actually became a more powerful personality, when not so much of a I don't want to say shrinking violet, but how if somebody is quiet and you open up a little, so maybe it opened you up a little bit, more of a blooming, so that you weren't so fearful of other people.
yes, that probably is it too. There are so many. A lot of the things the Trivedi effect has done for me, I can't put into words. And sometimes, and I don't know about you. Sometimes you think about how blessed and grateful you are to have the Trivedi effect in your life. It can bring tears to your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's true. I've witnessed many people. They are literally speechless at how their life has improved since they met Gurji Trivedi, or they started receiving the energy blessings. Now, we talked earlier about the fact that you also are scientifically validated, and Gurji actually gifted you that experience to invite you into getting that validation. So now you're able to transmit this energy to others, correct?
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit more about who you work with and the types of people that you would like to work with?
I work with people that are known to me and people who have had situations in their lives that they want to be better, maybe losing a job, maybe dealing with a daughter who they're having trouble with, trying to get them on the right path. And one of the things that I know I make the energy when I am able to, when I send the energy, they feel better. There's a sense of calmness and better well-being, and overall well-being. I just sent an energy transmission to a friend, wrote her and I emailed her and told her something that I had sent her an energy transmission, and she had been having some family issue. She had been having an issue with her youngest daughter, and that helped her to calm down, be focused, knowing that things would be better. And when specifically this last energy transmission I sent her, she said something's opening up for her. And she didn't know what it was. And I will send her energy transmissions to kind of help her discover what it is and what it is that she needs to know or needs to work on.
Wow, that's cool.
It is. This is unlike many people who claim they are healers. We are very fortunate that those who are part of the Trivedi are one of the Trivedi healers have been validated by the science. And that's one of the reasons why Guruji has done over, close to 4,000 to 6,000 scientific experiments. So he can prove to them in a factual way he is validated in the work that he does.
Yes. Yeah, they just updated. It was more than 4,000 experiments, and they just updated. It is now more than 6,000. So that is quite a lot of experiments that have been done, over the years to prove this. And it's very interesting because, we live in a world where science is our validation tool. And of course, with science, they're always trying to prove something is not working. So to have something proven to work over and over and over again is quite a feat. And it's also very interesting to talk about because your average person, they don't connect science and spirituality or science and God together. Although if you've studied any science, for example, Einstein, he talked about science and God being connected. So the most brilliant minds, known out in the world, as being great scientists, actually did make a connection between the divine and science. And of course, Guruji has taken it to the next level and said, okay, I'm going to make sure that this phenomenon is real and scientifically validated. And so I think that's really significant. And in all the interviews I've done with people, the science is probably one of the things that has attracted a great many people. And then also, like you said, the fact that there is no dogma, there's no religion, there's no tricks, there's no gimmicks about it. It just is. And you don't have to do any symbols or anything to do anything. And I think that is very interesting. So if somebody wants to find out more about you and connect, what's your website address?
My website address is www.AILEENClee.com.
Eileen C. Lee, and that's LEE.com. So, Eileen, before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to share today?
I would like to share that the Trivedi effect is amazing energy. It's intelligent energy. It will help you in ways you never thought it could help you. I encourage you, if you're interested in having an energy transmission, you can contact me on my website, and I also have my telephone number listed on my website too.
Oh,
and
okay, great.
Really, truly appreciate you for having me on your radio show, Tammy.
Okay, well, great. Well, I'll invite you back another time so we can talk about more. There's so much to talk about related to the energy transmissions, the Trivedi effect, and of course what you're doing, all of the positive success stories. There's just tons and tons to discuss. So I'll invite you back another time. And again, Eileen, I really appreciate you taking the time. And everyone, check out EileenClee.com. You can read all about the science. There's blogs, there's testimonials, there's media. You can look at the press that Eileen has received. You can look at the science papers and the publications. So you can go dig as deep as you would like to and find out all about this amazing phenomenon and a lot more about the Trivedi effect, and of course more about Eileen C. Lee. Thank you so much. This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. To get more solid health and wellness information, visit optimalhealthradio.com.